Let me ask you something. What do Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, and Antonio Conte all have in common? They're tactical geniuses. Every football fan knows their systems. Guardiola's positional play, Klopp's gegenpressing, Conte's wingbacks. You can close your eyes and see how their teams play. Now, what's Carlo Ancelotti's system? Exactly. You're thinking about it, and you can't quite describe it. Yet this man has won 4 Champions Leagues. He's the only manager in history to win it with 3 different clubs. He won the league title in England, Italy, France, Germany, and Spain. He managed at AC Milan, Chelsea, PSG, Bayern Munich, and Real Madrid twice. And the most common criticism of him? He doesn't really do anything. So today we're going to answer one question. Is Carlo Ancelotti secretly the greatest tactical mind in football? Or is he just the luckiest manager alive? Let's be fair to the critics first, because the criticism isn't completely without basis. When Ancelotti was sacked from Bayern Munich in 2017, the German press was brutal. One headline called him a passenger in his own dugout. His Bayern side had no clear identity. They looked disorganized in the press, passive without the ball and tactically confused against top opposition. At Everton in 2021, he left mid-season for Real Madrid, and nobody was shocked. The football was flat. No structure, no intensity, no idea. Even at Real Madrid, in his first spell from 2013 to 2015, he was sacked after winning the Champions League. Think about that. The man won the biggest prize in club football and still got fired because Florentino Perez felt the team lacked a tactical identity. Pep Guardiola famously spends hours on the training ground drilling movements, positioning and pressing triggers. Klopp's gegenpressing was so detailed it had its own Wikipedia page. These managers are architects. They build systems and the players fit inside them. Ancelotti, former players describe his training sessions as relaxed, almost casual. Toni Kroos once said the sessions were not very intense. Gareth Bale reportedly loved working under him because the workload was light, so the critics have a point. On paper, Carlo Ancelotti looks less like a football manager and more like a very well-paid babysitter for superstars. But here's where it gets interesting. The mistake people make is judging Ancelotti by the wrong standard. We live in an era that worships tactical complexity. Every pundit has a tactics board. Every YouTube channel, including this one, breaks down pressing structures and half-space movements. Complexity has become a proxy for intelligence. But football isn't played on a tactics board. It's played by human beings. And human beings are messy, emotional, and unpredictable. Carlo Ancelotti understands this better than almost any manager alive. What Ancelotti does and what almost nobody gives him credit for is man management. As a tactical weapon, take Karim Benzema. Under previous managers at Real Madrid, Benzema was often asked to press, to track back, to do the defensive dirty work. He did it reluctantly, and it drained him. Ancelotti looked at Benzema and made a simple decision. This man should only think about scoring. He restructured the entire attacking shape around protecting Benzema's energy for the final third. The result? Benzema won the Ballon d'Or at 34 years old. He had the best season of his career under Ancelotti. Then there's Luka Modric. By 2021, Modric was 36. Every rational tactical analysis said Real Madrid needed to phase him out, reduce his minutes, protect him from high-intensity games. Ancelotti ignored all of it. He trusted Modric completely, played him in the biggest matches, and Modric delivered every single time. And Vinicius Jr., a player who had been wildly inconsistent for years, criticized for poor decision-making and wastefulness in front of goal. Ancelotti gave him something no previous manager had: unconditional trust. No public criticism. No tactical restrictions. Just freedom and belief. Vinicius exploded into one of the best players on the planet. This is what Ancelotti does. He identifies what each player needs as a human being, not just as a footballer. And he creates an environment where they can perform at their ceiling. That is a tactic. It's just not one you can draw on a whiteboard. But here's where the real argument lives. Because man management alone doesn't explain what happened in the 2021-22 Champions League. If you watched that run, you know what I'm talking about. Real Madrid were losing to PSG in the last 16. 0-1 down on aggregate in the second leg, with Kylian Mbappe looking unstoppable. Then Benzema scored 3 goals in 17 minutes. Real Madrid won. In the quarterfinals against Chelsea, a Chelsea side that had just won the Champions League the season before, managed by Thomas Tuchel, one of the most tactically sophisticated managers in the world. Real Madrid were eliminated. Done. And then Rodrigo scored in the 80th minute, then again in the 81st. Then Benzema scored the penalty in extra time. Real Madrid won. In the semi-finals against Manchester City, Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, the best team in the world at that point. Real Madrid were 1-0 down, time running out. Rodrigo scored twice in 2 minutes. Benzema won it in extra time 3 times. Against 3 elite managers, Real Madrid came back from the dead 3 times in the same competition. Now, was this tactics? Was this Ancelotti's master plan, honestly? No. Real Madrid were tactically outplayed in long stretches of all 3 ties. But here's the thing. Football matches are not won purely by tactics. They're won by players who believe they can win. By squads that don't panic when they're losing. By dressing rooms that trust each other. Ancelotti had built something that no tactics board could measure. An unshakable collective belief. When Real Madrid were losing, nobody pointed fingers. Nobody panicked. Because the manager had never panicked. He had never publicly blamed a player. He had never thrown someone under the bus to protect his own reputation. In those moments, 80th minute, 1-0 down against the best teams in the world, Real Madrid's players didn't look to the bench in fear. They looked to the bench and saw a man completely calm, completely trusting in them, and they delivered. That is Ancelotti's tactic. And it won 3 Champions League knockout ties in a single season. So is Carlo Ancelotti a tactical genius or just lucky? Here's my take. The question itself is wrong. We've been trained to define tactical genius in one very specific way, the Guardiola way. Detailed systems, intense pressing, positional structure, total control. And that is genius. Nobody is taking that away from Pep. But there is another kind of genius. The kind that looks at a dressing room full of the most expensive, most talented, most egoistical players on earth, and makes every single one of them feel valued, trusted, and ready to die for the team. The kind that reads a game not from a tactical blueprint, but from 30 years of experience and an almost supernatural feel for human behavior. The kind that wins when winning should be impossible, not because of a pressing trigger or a half-space rotation, but because his players simply refuse to lose for him. Guardiola controls the game. Ancelotti controls the people, and at the highest level of football, where the margins are tiny and the players are generational talents, controlling the people might actually be harder. 4 Champions Leagues, 5 different leagues. The greatest players of their generation all saying the same thing. He made me feel free. Carlo Ancelotti doesn't have a tactical system. He has something rarer. He has trust. And in football, trust wins everything. That's beyond the pitch. If this made you think about football differently, that's exactly what this channel is here for. Drop your take in the comments. Do you think Ancelotti is underrated, overrated, or something else entirely? I want to know. Subscribe if you want analysis that goes deeper than the highlights. I'll see you in the next one.